All right, go.
My name is Tom Krager. I'm Lakeshore State Park Manager in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Cool. All right, so what was it that first got you interested in working in the park system?
Well, it's been actually that was like a lifelong thing for me.
Okay.
I was a total nature geek when I was a kid and at nature clubs, and my goal is always to work in a state park. But you get distracted, and things don't always work out the way you were. So I did a huge detour in my career and didn't come back to this till just 6 years ago.
Okay. Wow. And like, what credentials do you have that sort of qualify you for your position?
Well, it's an odd one. I didn't go through the normal channels. So a lot of
Okay.
people, when they go into a state park manager position, they've been in the park system for a long time. And I'm new to the park system. I worked for an engineering firm for 30 years.
Okay.
But my background is in conservation. I've got undergrad in conservation and biological aspects. So I've got plant taxonomy and birds, all type of things that go with that degree. And at that point, then I actually worked for an engineering firm after school, and learned. I was a construction inspector.
Okay.
So I learned soils and asphalt, and concrete. I never thought these things would all come into play into a park position, but they actually do. And
Huh.
I went back to work. I went back to school in what was I, 35? I went back to grad school, and I'm a groundwater scientist. I'm a hydrogeologist.
Oh,
So-
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I got
Oh.
a master's in hydrogeology, and then I did environmental cleanups, and big ones in the state. The shop site down in the valley, most of the lakefront stuff, the rivers in Milwaukee. Those are all my jobs.
Nice,
Alex
dude.
Chalmers, and then I was also a wetland. I was the only principal in the firm. I was a principal and I was department head here. So I was also in charge of the wetlands. I was only biology guy, only biology principal in the company.
Wow.
So when things would come up biological, I'd get them. So I would do problem wetlands, disturbed wetlands, wetlands on brownfield sites in the city, and I also was DOT hazmat coordinator for the state, and then I did wetlands for them also when they built the
Wow.
wetland evaluations. Yeah, so I had a real diverse career. So I was going into this background because oddly, it all helped me get this job.
Yeah,
So-
totally, man.
So
Yeah.
when they came in, part of it was being a consultant for 30 years. So part of it was you're used to preparing for interviews or proposals. It's all the same, really. You're using the same thing.
Yeah.
If you're selling yourself or you're selling your company, it's the same procedure. So anyway, they came out and they wrote up a job. I worked for I did not, well, then I quit my job actually, once my kids' colleges were paid for. So I didn't need the big bucks anymore. So I quit my job and looked for something in natural resources. My goal would be to get a park position. I never thought I could get one, but I had a friend. These are sometimes this is with contacts. I had a friend at the DNR who lives down the block, and I worked with her on some of the volunteer things I did in the
Okay.
parks around here. She says, "I really need you out at the Hank Aaron Trail," and she arranged
Oh,
for me to, and
yeah.
I interviewed for the job, got the job, and I was trail head for the Hank Aaron for a summer, and
That's
that got
awesome.
me into the DNR. So now I'm in the DNR. She says, I think there are a couple of jobs that you are possible coming up that I think you're going to be qualified for. And one of them was looking at remediation from the regulatory point of view again for cleanups and things like that. And I really
Okay.
didn't want to do that again. And
Yeah.
one of them was for park. So I go, take a look at I took a look at the requirements, and they were written for me. I mean, they wanted somebody who had handling big projects, which
Okay.
I did all the time, big budgets, which I did all the time. They wanted someone who could do marketing. They wanted a different, because in an urban park, they wanted a different thing.
Yeah, totally. It is.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah.
So they wanted someone who understood marketing, had contacts with the city. I worked with all the attorneys, the big attorneys downtown. I did a lot of legal expert witness work and things. So I had all that background. And then I was a plant freak and did invasive species work in natural landscaping since the 70s. So I know plants really well. I did prairies. I helped with a lot of them and planted a lot of them. I taught, and I used to. My brother and I ran an outdoor recreation club for years in Glendale. That we led tours and had canoes,
Awesome.
and we did hikes, and we did all kinds of goofy stuff. Runs through the woods at night, tracking all kinds of stuff. It was a lot of fun. So I kept up with education. I was a teacher naturalist at Audubon years and years ago, and did in the 70s. And then finally, when I quit, I immersed myself because it's about contacts, and I had a lot of
Yeah.
contacts in the community. I'm well connected with the education community, and somewhat with the regulatory because I worked with the DNR my whole life. Because I did biological assessments and environmental assessments as well as,
Okay. Yeah.
so I did all that type of thing. I also did some quite a bit with with the DNR, so they knew me there already. But then when I had 2 years, I quit my job, and then the economy crashed, got tanked out. And so I worked odd jobs. I got a job, and I know on my resume, I knew my experience was strong, but it wasn't on a job. You know, a lot of my work was volunteering, or I did it on my own. I plant parades for friends. I designed gardens. Did all kinds of things on the side. But that doesn't show up with a job. So I volunteered for Urban Ecology Center, Mequon Nature Center, Audubon. And then I also got a job. I applied for something, a land steward position at 90 acres of land owned by the Neighborhood House Community Center in downtown Milwaukee. So they had been neglected. I wrote up being a consultant, you tend to be a little more rigorous. They said, "Well, write me up a proposal."
Mm-hmm.
So I went out and visited the site and wrote a 10-page work plan with all goals set and everything else. I handed it to him, and he was just going, "Wow, I thought you'd give me a 1-page with your race." I go, "You know, this is..." So I got the job.
That's awesome.
So that gave me the experience on paper,
mm-hmm.
handling that thing.
Yeah.
You know, handling handling land management and all that. And I also got, I had a lot of other experience in that period of time that was, solid volunteer experience. And so all that put together got me and plus the construction background, because you handle a lot of things in the parks. You have to repair things.
Oh yeah.
You got troubleshooting. I got a bad road in the back. I was an asphalt inspector. I know exactly what's wrong and how to, and I know when the subcontractors are talking to me.
So you have just about every credential possible for this job.
It just was absolutely bizarre. I was lucky, but some of that was direction. I mean,
totally.
Some of that was serendipity. I mean, the fact that I was a construction inspector was odd, but the career worked for it, and then the volunteer work I always kept, because that was my interest. I always kept it, and in fact, we do. Melissa Cook and I give talks to UWM to students, saying that you don't always get a direct path in. It took her decades to get in. It took me 40 years to get the job I wanted. So.
That's awesome.
It's an interesting story. It's a weird story. It's not the most normal story.
Yeah, but it's interesting.
But it worked out. It worked out.
Totally.
Well, they also want someone who could handle people, or had experience handling people. And I was in charge of the department, so I had to do reviews. I had to hire. I did all that stuff too. So
perfect.
So everything fell in place. Some of that serendipity. It always is. Some of that's because that was Melissa. If I wouldn't have had that, I wouldn't have the contact.
Yeah, contacts are
huge.
Super important. Yeah. What are some of your day-to-day duties?
It's really diverse, which is what I like about it. I mean, even yesterday, I met with. I'll just give you an example. Yesterday was a little odd because my computer was broken, but normally I've got about 4 to 5 hours of administration. It's following, checking with emails and different. There's reports to be done. There's things that people coordinate with. I get a lot of questions. We do boat reservations, so I might take a couple of boat reservations for our docks. I've got subcontractors working for me, so I make coordinate some subcontractors. And I did all this yesterday, actually, this whole thing. And we had a group we have groups that come and help us out occasionally and want to meet with us. So you meet with them. I met with Green Tree Garden Club yesterday, and they were talking about things they could do for us. I've got some things I have to fix at the parks, and we're waiting for those to get done, or I'm doing some work myself. And then I was out mowing and weed whacking yesterday.
So you handle administrative stuff, and then you're also out in the field.
You do everything. So maybe we're doing planting, plus we teach a lot. So I teach at 4 colleges, so I'm preparing lesson plans, and we're doing all that stuff.
Yeah, wow.
And then I got to talk next week to my friends group, so I finished up my PowerPoint for that. I did my budget. I got my parts for my gator that I just got, so I started working on that.
That amazes me how you do so much office work. You're making presentations. You're outside. You're fixing roads.
Well, that's what most people, the guys in the parks, we talked up people in parks. That's what they like, because you've got such a range. You might write a grant in the morning, and then you do something else, cutting timber in the afternoon. So it's a really diverse job. And right now we're working on our friends group. I work a lot with our friends group, and they're trying to reach buildings. So I've been meeting with the architects. And we also got a project in Madison with another group that's designing a building for the park too. So I'm working now concurrently on both of those projects. They'll call me up and they'll interview me, and they'll ask me what I need, and I'm their client in the case of the students. And I'm working with the friends group and the architects to kind of make sure we get a building that the DNR will want in the long run.
So what's the building's purpose? Like,
it's well, our project we got right now is we're in Discovery World next to the park, and you can't get to us. You have to go through the passes. Yeah. So we're supposed to get Gateway Park. Park system, but this is an urban state park. It's kind of a new idea, and they wanted to really have a state gateway to bring people into the park system that don't go to parks.
By the way, I would just like to state for this interview that Tom runs a park that is directly in the center of downtown Milwaukee.
Right. Yes, I was just going to say, we are so urban. We are an island off downtown Milwaukee. Well, the other aspect we got, I don't spend a lot of time on it. We have a lot of wildlife out there, so it's a lot of fun that way too. But what were we saying? Let's see. I lost track.
We were talking about
the building.
The building. Yeah.
Well, we were supposed to be a gateway, and if you don't have any access to the staff out there, you can't walk in and pick up literature. We put things out in the park, but it's just a small step to what we could do.
Yeah.
So that we always had a design. There's always supposed to be a building in the park, and it just fell through because of funding.
Okay.
And now the funding got tighter, so the Friends Group has to raise the money. It's a couple million, $3-4 million for this building. So that's what they're working on right now. So the building will be primarily a visitor center, so you can come on in and talk to us and pick up literature, maybe get a little information, learn about things, learn about the other park systems. It's also there.
That's great.
It's also we don't have any bathrooms in the park, which is a real problem. So we have a lot of education events. Or people just walking through, and there's no bathrooms.
Yeah.
And we need support for our boaters too. We have a 20 dock marina, and this building will be right next to that, so they can have access to a bathroom.
Nice.
And finally, there's a place for meetings and a place for education too. So we've got what we call a combination purpose room.
That's fantastic. Room.
And we'll have a little place that we can actually bring people in for lectures or have meetings or have school groups come in. We had a couple fun things this year. We ended up we're now Milwaukee Public School outdoor education site that has happened this year, and I met with them just this week to kind of consolidate that and get that going. And I actually taught the first class for them. But that's all about getting people out there, and they need a bathroom. They bring out kids too. And now we have kids coming from the Milwaukee Public Schools with teachers and naturalists that we don't have to do those programs.
Yeah. And
there's no place again to go to the bathroom or a place for shelter for rains and storms.
Yeah. So it's like a just multi-purpose thing. That's fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, it'd be really exciting to get it in. And what they're looking at is a living building, which is beyond leads, self-sustainable, totally.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I don't know if the DNR is going to buy in.
Okay.
But that's what they're working on.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what's kind of the hardest, most frustrating thing about your job? And then on the flip side, what's the most rewarding thing?
Oh, those are pretty easy. I think the amount of paperwork that goes with the state park. I mean, we're not much different. We have the same reporting as the bigger park has, so much less in some things. But it really does tie you down, and it's hard to get away from the computer. And especially in the summertime, we do so many special events. And that's what I didn't mention yet. But we do. We probably have 15, 20 run races that use the park. We have 7 or 8 major festivals that use the park. I've got probably another dozen weddings, photo shoots, odd little things. We permit all that, so I have to permit that. So that type of thing, plus the boat reservations, plus the DNR's paperwork, which is pretty intensive, and the reporting requirements, hiring, all those administrative things really, really tie you up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So the part I like the best is twofold. I really can't say there's one thing, but one of it is working outside, making the park look good, function well, and the other part is the teaching. It's really a blast to go out, work with students, work with college kids, and work with the general public, and develop programs. I do a bug program that's I never advertise, and I do about 3 of them a year just by word of mouth. And
nice.
And then see the excitement that people get when they start seeing things they never thought about or looked at, and see people get excited about that. And even yesterday, we were just talking to some people in the park when they were looking at one of my purpose signs in the park, and so I stopped and I filled them in on some things, and they were just so excited to learn more about Milwaukee and how it developed and what was there. And so that part is just a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the part I really enjoy. I can't wait till I retire because then I can just eliminate the paperwork
And just do the
do
teaching
the
part.
teaching and, and outdoor, the maintenance parts.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, 4 more years. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for an aspiring person looking for a position sort of similar to yours?
Yeah, we do. We actually, Melissa and I do quite a bit of talks on careers in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do quite a bit of career talk about how you get into the DNR.
I'll have to take down some of that info after
Yeah,
this.
and
Cool.
it's pretty straightforward. It's just it's getting in the door is the hard part.
Mm-hmm.
In any of these things, there's a lot of competition. So what you want to do is you almost have to volunteer and really start building that resume. So you come in, and people then know that you're serious about it. Because I get so many applications.
Yeah.
And fair or not, I don't think it's necessarily fair, but sometimes people have to work a lot in a job that's not outdoor related because they need to make money to pay for school. But if I see a resume and they come, they got a biology background or a conservation background, they worked in a coffee shop the whole life, versus a guy who's worked in a couple of state parks and picked up some experience along the way.
Yeah.
My hands are somewhat tied.
Yeah, you can't just.
I got to pick the more qualified person.
Yeah.
Even though there's some very, very good people out there, and that's a problem I've been wrestling with. Trying to get in. But the way to do that is you volunteer and do a good job. I've had volunteers come for me, or even interns, or even limited term employers that don't take full advantage of what you can really pick up.
Yeah.
Take ownership, do a really good job, make sure you understand, learn as much as you can. And get that on your resume, and then also there's things you can pick up on the side. I mean, you can attend classes. You can try to do a little teaching on the side. You can get your first aid training. It's not very expensive to get your pesticide applicator certification.
Really?
Yeah, it's $40, and if you don't take the class, if you take the class, it's like $100. But you can do it, and you can do it anytime, and you get the book and And those things all make you more valuable. You can get a chainsaw safety certification. You can get all those things that you need to do a little research and think about what goes on in a park and what would make me qualified.
Yeah, fantastic.
And work experience with small motors, experience with a little bit of building, experience with plant, and maybe some kind of either plantings or maintenance or things like that. So just all those things that you do in the field day after day after day, to do your job. Is much of that you can get, the better off you are, because you're not. That means that the manager, from my point of view, I don't have to train as much. Yeah. And it just kills you. It takes up so much time to get somebody online if they have no experience.
Yeah, and you're an extremely busy man, as we've found out.
Summertime is just nuts. I mean, starting in April, April till October, you're just running all the time.
What type of duties do you have during winter time?
Well, winter.
How does it change?
It's changed radically. I mean, summertime you're basically at the mercy of the next phone call. I mean, it's just the way it goes. The next email, the next phone call. There's so much activity, and so many things you have to coordinate. And some of these events we have are huge. I mean, we have the USA Triathlon, for example, and that's 10,000 people in over 3 days. But there were 6, 7, 8 meetings for that. So you're summertime you're working on those type of things. Winter you're playing catch up. You're getting your reporting done. Last winter I did a park maintenance plan. So every nut, bolt, paint, type, ordering information, serial numbers, vendor, everything that we do in the park is in that thing. I can't think of much of anything we do that. Even how to trim is in there. So all your maintenance parts, all your manuals are in there. So that was a big effort to get that done. That's a real huge thing, especially if you're thinking of retiring in a few years. You hand off to the manager, another manager.
That makes their job.
And you really need to have that.
Absolutely.
We also completed the hazardous, hazardous materials plan. And the emergency action plans. I updated both of those last winter. Sometimes what I'll do, and I've been tied up this last couple of years, but I designed the interpretive signs. I'll do a brochure. I did a couple of brochures. Oh, okay. I take some of my training in, and training requirements or things that come up. I do some of that in the wintertime. Some of it's just you prep for the following year. But your winter is fairly short because you really keep pretty busy till October, and then you kick back in about March again. April you start getting really busy. March you start hiring again, and now you start to cycle over again. So you have all that little paperwork and repair work, and then you try to make a little progress that you can't do in the summer. You try to get new forms, better guidance for something or other, and then we work on our partnerships. So I usually meet with everybody over the winter. So we partner, with probably 20 organizations. So you maintain all those, City of Milwaukee, public schools, River Keepers, Audubon. We've got, you have all those partnerships, and you touch base on all those with all those people in the wintertime. So it's the PR aspect that you have. And you actually have a PR plan. You actually have a public relations plan that we have to put together too. So there's a lot. I mean, there's really, I would never have thought there was that much, even for a little park, but there's a lot to do. So wintertime, the big difference is summertime, you're the next call driven, and you can't even plan your schedule. Winter, you can actually go in a lot of days and say, this is what I'm going to do today, and actually do it.
Yeah.
But if you're anywhere, doing what you should be doing on your job, you never run out of work. So there's always something else to do.
Yeah, there's always something else.
Yeah, you're never done.
Yeah. Which is a blessing and a curse.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you doing this interview.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, thank you.